Hello candidates, I am going to dictate you a passage from Progressive Magazine. So please get ready for the dictation. The dictation will start after 15 seconds.
We have as one of the items for discussion today a problem which raises fundamental issues of law and justice. Till now, the state has looked upon an offense as a crime for which the offender must pay. Such offenses, whether you call them crimes or sins, were regarded as evil and attracted as their inevitable consequence punishment. Punishment was therefore regarded as a consequence of crime and justified in itself. The classic exposition of this view is in the principle an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Later ages, however, raised the question of the utility or justification of punishment. Critics arose who asked how a murdered person benefited by the slaughter of his murderer. In fact, the only result was the loss of life of two individuals instead of one. Punishment was therefore thought to be justified on grounds of its deterrent character, but even this did not satisfy critics who pointed out that, as a matter of fact, punishment did not deter. A new school of thought arose which approached the problem of punishment from the point of view of reform of the offender. Instead of a retributive theory of punishment, we thus find the emergence of an educative and reformatory theory of punishment. This dispute between the different theories of punishment has not yet been settled, but on one point there is almost unanimous agreement among both theorists and practical men of affairs. All agree that in the case of juveniles, there must be a change of outlook with regard to punishment. For one thing, young persons without maturity of judgment cannot be held fully responsible for their actions. For another, experience has shown that confinement of such juveniles in jails confirms them into criminals. In fact, children who may have committed some crime through want of knowledge or on the impulse of the moment become habitual criminals if they are once sent to jail. Recognition of this fact has led many countries to provide separate establishments for juveniles. In India, we have had reformatories and houses of correction in different provinces, but it must be admitted that even these have not fully met the purpose. The provision of such reformatories or juvenile jails has no doubt separated the juvenile offenders from the confirmed criminals, but as they themselves have been miniature jails, the educative aspect has not found the emphasis. The position with regard to the care and management of juvenile delinquents is thus obviously unsatisfactory. In the first place, not all the provinces that have children's acts on their statute books are working them adequately. The work is chiefly confined to bigger cities, and even there it leaves much to be desired. The probation officers have not the requisite training, nor have the magistrates of the juvenile courts the required qualifications. The certified schools are not working properly, and aftercare is all but non existent. A little consideration will show that in a matter like the problem of juvenile delinquency and the proper methods of dealing with it, there must be uniformity among the different provinces. It is also desirable that the practice of this country should conform as far as possible to that of the other enlightened countries of the world. In the UK, the persons between the age of 8 and 17 are regarded as juveniles and are tried by a special juvenile courts. Panels of magistrates are selected from justices of peace, and according to present regulations, these panels consist of 2 or 3 persons selected every 3 years. In metropolitan courts, one of the magistrates must be a woman, while outside London, this practice is observed as far as possible. The administration of the courts is under the Home Officer, but a special advisory committees were set up in 1910 in order to make the attitude of the administration more progressive. In the past, punishment for the juvenile delinquents was in proportion to the gravity of the offenses, but in recent times, the trend is towards the reclamation of the future citizen rather than the punishment of an offender. The changeover from punishment to education is almost complete in the USA and in some of the European countries. In the USA, the upper age limit for juvenile delinquents is 21. Up to the age of 18, the offender is under the exclusive jurisdiction of the juvenile courts, but from 18 to 21, these courts exercise a concurrent jurisdiction with the ordinary courts. The trend of legislation is to make the juvenile courts independent of the ordinary system of criminal justice. In addition to the special magistrates, the USA provides for referees to assist in the hearing and disposition of the cases. Where the delinquent is a girl, it is the practice to associate a properly qualified woman referee with the court. The USA has no advisory bodies, perhaps because social service agencies play an important part in all cases before the juvenile courts as such.